Sorry, I'm gonna double dip on this story, but I did notice something interesting from the TRANSAIR 810 recovery videos, so let me get to that in a second. During the ill-fated flight, the pilots declared an emergency after one of the engines failed. They also declared that the remaining engine was running a bit hot, before ditching in the sea. From that information, there was speculation on whether that meant the remaining engine had also failed. Well, after both of the engines were fished out from the sea, it seems we might have an answer. If we compare the two engines, we can clearly see that the damages on each of them look a bit different. One looks a bit rusty, and the casing is a bit torn up, but is otherwise in pretty good shape by aircraft accident standards. The other, not so much. The front fan case had completely sheared off, and it appears that the fan blades were either torn off or bent against the direction of rotation. Fan blades do tend to look like that after ingesting something that they're not supposed to, like water or other parts of the engine. But for that to happen, the engine could not have been completely off. This is classic evidence to suggest that it was still running at the time of impact. Now, it doesn't mean that everything about the engine was all okay. The pilots did say engine number 2 was running hot, and it's hard to tell how much thrust was still being produced just by looking at it with my non-expert eyes. So it doesn't at all rule out the possibility that thrust reduction happened. Does it look like it was running at maximum thrust or reduced thrust? Can you tell? Because I can't. But you know who can? The investigators. If they can figure out how much force is required to make the fan blades look like this, they can figure out how fast they were spinning, and thus how much thrust was being generated at the time of impact. Or they can just read from the black boxes. Until then, it's hard to say how well the engines were actually doing without an expert investigation. But at least we can say that one of the engines was probably still running when it ditched. The rest of the story? Well, that's the job for the NTSB.